welcome back to another episode of Wealth in Christ podcast show where we inspire the masses to become financially free while building God's kingdom. On the podcast today, we have the privilege of having Tony and Brittany Ingram. Tony and Brittany Ingram are a couple who paid off $235,000 in debt in 19 months. On this podcast today, we'll be discussing the process of getting rid of that debt and how they teach others to do the same. So thank you for being here, Tony and Brittany Ingram.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for tapping in.
How did you guys get started on this journey of becoming financially free? Well, what was the conversation like to start the process?
Yeah, that's a good question because you got to start somewhere, right? All right, just start you from the beginning, man. We 2015 was our first time embarking our debt-free journey together, and we were living in Monterey, California at the time, and we had about $100,000 in debt, and that included a car, some credit cards, student loans, just normal stuff that people take out loans for every day, right? And we started our debt-free journey then. And at that point, we ended up paying off like 60 grand in like a year and a half. And then we had $40,000 of it in a debt forgiveness program because that was a student loan. Mm-hmm. And so we put it in the program. And at that point, we was quote unquote debt free, right? After paying off 60,000, it was like, okay, we consider ourselves debt free since that thing is in the debt forgiveness program. And about 2 months later, after we were quote unquote debt free, we backslid. We started using our credit cards and stuff again, and we end up going back into debt. So we doubled down the second time. So this was our second debt-free journey, and the second one came around in 2019. So we were just spending money for 2 years straight, knowing that we had the debt and we were accumulating more debt. But in the back of our mind, we were just like, we'll pay it off later. You know, we got the resources to do it. We'll pay it off at some point. And then the pivot point came was I'm in the Navy. And so I was traveling for work, and I was in Virginia in my hotel room, and I was fasting. I did a 7-day fast where it was, no social media, just really tapping in with God. And God tapped me on my shoulder in that hotel room. And he was like, hey, son, you're supposed to be the leader of your house. I'm giving you these resources, blessing you with these resources, but you're not stewarding your money. You're not stewarding my money like I need you to do. And that hit me hard. And so that same night I called Brittany and I said, hey, let's sit down and talk about how much debt do we have? Because we've been racking it up these last 2 years. And then we sat down and added it up. It was over $230,000. And that did not include our house because we lived in California. You can't buy no house for 200 grand. So, yeah. And so that's when we started our second debt-free journey, man. And we buckled down. It was July 2019. We got on the budget. We stopped frivolous spending, started selling stuff. Sold our car, our Jeep. That was the first thing that we sold. And then we just started the process from there. And we just started being aggressive. We both were working, a lot of sacrifice. And God blessed us for sure through the journey. It was hard though, man. Tell you that.
That's great. I definitely want to ask one more time, when God did speak to you in that hotel room, I can only imagine, how you was feeling, being able to now have to go explain to your wife, how did that conversation, go about? Was she, how did that go?
Yeah. You want to tap in on
that? When Tony came to me with it, I was ready anyways to start our journey again because I knew that it was time myself. So I think God had already prepared me for the conversation before, not knowing that Tony was going to be ready at that time. I was already ready to start back paying off the debt. So it was a really easy conversation. So when he said ready, set, I said go.
That's good. That's definitely good. So I want to ask another question in regards to that. That you guys started, you guys got down to 40K. What, I guess, how did you guys slip back? Like what was happening that caused you guys to accumulate so much debt in such a short time?
Yeah.
So the 2015 debt free journey, we paid off the 60 grand, and then the 40,000 went into the debt forgiveness, and then we just, I don't know, we had this how much, like, we wanted to buy stuff. We had this consumer mindset. Like, what can I buy? We're debt free now, quote unquote. We're debt free now. What can I buy? What can I buy? It was almost like an addict. Like we felt like we was missing out on something.
Mm-hmm.
And we just really went all in. We started, going on vacations and just really swiping that card. And a lot of our debt came when we bought our new house in 2019. And we probably had racked up another 80,000 just from buying the house, construction loans, trying to do the backyard, front yard, landscape, and all that stuff. So we added on another 80 grand just from buying the house. And honestly, it just wasn't the right season in hindsight of buying the house. So we put the cart before the horse at that point. But yeah, that mindset shift was huge in that process. So yeah, we just really just wanted to spend money. So the consumer mindset versus the investor mindset, we didn't have it at the time.
I think our first debt-free journey, we sacrificed so much. We didn't go out to eat at all. It was more of a deprivation type of thing. So when we were able to see our money again, we were like, okay, what can we go buy? So we also did some super hobbies during that time that, took up a lot of our money for sure. We renewed our vows, and we had a wedding, because the first time we got married, we didn't have a wedding. We did like a courthouse wedding. So we wanted to, for our 5-year anniversary, we wanted to do it big. So we did. We did a 3-day, it was a 7-day vacation in Aruba, and our family came down. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. And we started that process off by paying cash, because in the back of our minds, even at that time, we knew, okay, we're going to try to pay cash for as many things as we possibly can. But it's something about when you start swiping your credit card, there's something about the ease and the convenience of just swiping it again. It's like, oh, well, you know what? We need an extra $10,000 for this cake or this, that, or this, it's like little things started adding on, and we didn't have the liquid cash for it right then. So we were like, we're not going to wait another 2 months to get the liquid cash. We're just going to go ahead and swipe the credit card. We'll pay for it. Right. So that mentality, that consumption mentality just took over, and there we were, 235.
Wow. That's definitely a journey. And I want to ask, being the fact that you guys went through the first journey, restricting yourself from different things, how did you guys go about approaching the second journey? Were you guys restricting certain things? Do you guys still go on dates? What was the plan in that second journey?
So that was 2019, July 2019. I was still traveling for work. So when we started the process, we were apart, right? And once I got back home, which was close to the end of the year of 2019, we were pregnant at the time as well. So Brittany was like 8 or 9 months pregnant when I got back home. And January 2020, we had our second daughter. And then I went on deployment. I went on deployment for 10 months. So we were apart most of the time. So the whole dates and stuff like that, we couldn't do that, obviously. But we, so yeah, that process it made it a little bit smoother, but we were so locked in mentally, and we were so focused. It was like, never again we started thinking about our future, really like what, like we are really like robbing our future right now, that mentality. And we had to like put a lot of things to the side. Like we didn't care about really going out or trying to impress anybody or anything like that. We were laser focused. Like, what are our goals, man? Like we got two daughters, and we don't want them to go through the same things that we went through. So
Yeah.
we gotta tighten up.
Yeah. The majority of our debt-free journey the second time was during the pandemic.
Yes.
And the pandemic started March of 2020. So we were blessed enough to still be able to work from home. Even though I was blessed enough to still be able to work from home. And Tony, he was on deployment. So, it really, we were sitting down. We were not moving. We were not spending any money. But thanks be to God, we were still making money. So we just took advantage of that. And as far as like the student loans, we were like, okay, we're taking those out of that debt forgiveness program, because that got caught up in like court cases and fraud and all of that anyways. And then that's when the student loan forgiveness, what you didn't have to pay any interest on your student loan. What was
student loan repayment plan? Yeah, they took it to 0%, which is still in it right now. So.
Yeah, we're still I forgot the technical term for it, but we took advantage of that. And we were like, okay, you know what? We don't have to pay any interest on the loan right now. We're not going out to eat right now. We can't. So we're cooking from home more. So it really just provided us the opportunity to not do any extra spending because we were not going anywhere.
Right. Yep. Helped out a lot.
That's pretty dope. Oh, that's pretty dope. Thank God that you guys were able to go through that process during the pandemic. So the next thing I want to definitely ask and talk about is that you mentioned that it was hard, through the process. How did your faith, guide you guys through this process of 19 months of selling this, okay, not doing this, selling the Jeep? You guys went through a whole life-changing milestone.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you asked that question because it's so key, right? Even through that process, we started discovering it was more of a self-discovery thing. And I know just for me, man, I've always been a car guy, right? And I've always loved nice car. And when we started this second process, it's like I didn't care anymore. I didn't care what I drove. Because my family's future is way more important than what I drive and what type of clothes I wear, what I could spend my money on or our money on. That took a mental shift. We started a minimalism journey. So we got rid of a lot of things that was weighing us down, stopped buying stuff that didn't add value to our lives anymore. And we started really holding on to appreciating experiences more than things. And so that was a shift that helped us out a ton. Just really thinking about, okay, what does the word say about stuff? It's not saying that you can't have things, but to the detriment of things having you, that's where things can spiral, because you feel like you need to have the latest and greatest of everything. And when in reality, it just clutters up your life. So that helped us out a lot. Just really embarking on a minimalism journey while we were getting out of debt. And now we're at a point where it's just, okay, do we really want that thing that we said we wanted to get now? No, not really, not at the detriment of building wealth. Doesn't matter anymore. So.
And what scripture would you say, helped you guys through the process, or Bible passage, that helped you guys through the passage?
Yeah. So for 2020, we had a theme. We try to do a theme word or a scripture for each year. For 2020, the theme was order, transition, and trust. Those were the three words that we leaned on, right? Because our life is so different, because I'm military, I travel. Brittany is a celebrity makeup artist, she traveled. And so we understand that, hey, we need to be in order and alignment with God. and he transitions us quite often with moving and things like that. And we knew we had a big transition coming up. And so a lot of that we had to trust on the Lord. And the scripture that came up was Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6, lean not on your own understanding, but trust in the Lord. And that scripture carried us through 2020 because it was like, okay, anytime we had any turbulence that came up, any challenges or trials, we leaned on that scripture. We said, okay, let's remove ourselves out of this, trust in God more, lean on God, not our own understanding. And that carried us a lot. It's still
Yeah.
carrying us,
Right.
it's still carrying us. And that was key.
Yeah.
That was key.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Definitely one thing I want to talk about, I can see it here that you guys have very great communication skills. I can imagine, through this process, as complicated being different issues, it was important to be on the same page. So how important is it for people, whether single or married, when they trying to go through this process, specifically if they married, to be on the same page?
It's really important for, the married couple to be on the same page, because I talked to Tony about this. It just hit me one day. I said, I can't imagine me wanting to spend money and you wanting to become debt free and build wealth, but yet I want to spend money on clothes and bags and shoes, and then I'm pouting because I can't have the money. Just thinking about the stress and the turmoil that it will put on our marriage, I became very grateful that we were on the same page, because I was able to just really look at, if you were a spender
Mhm.
and you were not on the same page with me, how would that make me feel? If you wanted to spend money on shoes and, these things, but yet I was ready to be on a debt free journey. I just thought to myself, like, wow, like that would really suck. So I became overwhelmingly grateful that we are on the same page. And, it's important because you can't have one spouse going in one direction and the other spouse going in another. Some people do it, but it's a lot tougher when you do it that way. It may take a lot longer when you do it that way. And you work quicker, faster, better together.
Team.
As a team, you're going to get to your goal a lot faster, a lot smoother. And I would just advise any couple who is not on the same board when it comes to their finances to try to get a mediator. Go talk to a counselor. Go talk to your pastor or your first lady or someone that you trust with your marriage, because 9 times out of 10, it's probably bigger than the finances. And if you can get on the same page, and possibly remove whatever resentment you may have or attachment that you have with money, and get to the root of why you can't get on the same page with your spouse, then I think you will be able to move forward, because, 9 times out of 10, it's bigger than just the money. In my opinion, I think so. So I think it's just super important.
Yeah, very. So key. I'll just add this for single, getting an accountability partner
Yes.
is very important. We still had accountability, even though we're married, we're accountable for one another. And, we have our circle of people that poured into us as well. So for somebody that's single, definitely having that accountability buddy that can help talk some sense into you when you're not thinking clearly. Somebody that can help motivate you as well, because going through any type of journey, you get tired.
Yeah.
You lose steam. Uh, your judgment can become cloudy, and it's like, why am I doing this? You need those reminders, like, here's why you're doing this. So yes, having that self drive, but it's always good to have a team with you. Somebody can lean on, like, hey man, I'm tripping. I need help today. What would you do in this situation? Having those real talk conversations with yourself. And yeah, having that teamwork atmosphere is is one of the major keys to success when it comes to debt-free journey, any type of journey that you're going on.
And if you don't have anyone around you that is on that journey, go and find somebody that's on that journey. Social media is crazy huge right now in terms of like being able to find a community of people. You don't necessarily have to, live in the same city with these people, but you can find a community that is interested in the same thing that you're interested in, and it'll give you motivation to keep going.
You guys are definitely right on that. Definitely right on that. I have a couple more questions. I do want to talk about, those. I should even phrase it this way. What would you say are questions people should ask, when they're in a dating period, in terms of finance? Because finance, is one of the reasons most people get divorced.
Yeah.
So what some questions you would tell people to ask to make sure they are on the same page, even before they even get to marriage and they may have conflicts?
Yeah, that's a good question,
Yeah.
man. That's like it, we we grew up in a society, or like let me just rewind. When we were younger, man, talking about money was like forbidden. You didn't talk about money at all. So growing up, that was the mentality. But as we got older, it's like, why not talk about money? If money is one of the leading causes of divorces, why are we not talking about it? Why are we not educating ourselves, educating our children so when they grow up to be young adults and they're in the dating phase, you can weed out a lot of foolishness. You really can. You can avoid a lot of financial infidelity as well.
Yeah.
People going back and swiping their card or using something when you're not communicating with your better half. But I think when you're dating, having those boundaries, having a budget, talking about those things. I mean, you might not talk about that on your first date, but at the same time, you want to establish some ground rules and say, hey, this is important to me. My financial uh, my financial health is important to me, and I want to know your take on it. How are you approaching your finances? What's your 5-year plan, 10-year plan? What do you know about uh, investing and saving money and things like that? Not saying that you're grilling somebody, but just having that conversation, having a healthy conversation. What do you know about credit? Let's talk about these things, because you can get into a situation with somebody, and if you're not talking about money while you're dating, and you get with somebody that's got $150,000 worth of student loan because you didn't ask the right questions. Now, guess what? Now that's our student loans. You have to be upfront and transparent, saying, okay, hey, this is my situation. Are you okay with this? I want to get better with money. If you're not good with money, let's go through a process. And before you get married, maybe you can do some counseling on that. You can go through some finance classes and learn how to deal with money. But I think that's very key. We can talk about sex and stuff during the dating phase, but we can't talk about money. That's backwards to me. I think you should be able to talk about that. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
That's definitely good. Um, so now I want to definitely talk about the mindset. You guys hit on it a lot of times so far in this conversation. How important is mindset in making, especially when you was talking that you was going on the second journey, you said that you was focused, like it was nothing gonna stop you, your love for cars, you put that aside. So how important was mindset for you? And also for Brittany, you was able to allow Tony to lead you in this process of, becoming debt free.
I think mindset that was the first thing that we had to establish, is the mindset. And honestly, going through the process, the mindset grows stronger.
Yep.
It really shifts. And like I mentioned earlier, going from that consumer to investor or producer mindset was very key. And then having the support from my wife, giving me the space to lead was, I mean, that was everything to me. It was empowering. She allowed me to really just come into my own and understand and learn more about myself. And she did the same. So that mindset shift was pivotal, because if your mind is still set on other things, you're scattered, You can't focus. You're basically going backwards, or you're running in place because your mind is elsewhere and you're trying to accomplish this major goal. It's going to make it 10 times harder. So being able to have a healthy mind state, understanding your goals, writing those goals down, continuing to visit those goals and talk about them a lot.
Yeah.
Getting them out there, talking about the mindset shift and things that you can improve on. It's definitely a self-improving journey. So,
Yeah.
what you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of denying of self, that self gratification, that immediate gratification that you have to deny yourself of when you're on a debt free journey. But the thing that kept me going, and like Tony said, is switching from a consumer mindset to an investor's mindset. I started to see how much money we were spending on debt, and Tony put that into an investing calculator one day, and we were able to see like what that money could do, 10 years from now, 20 years from now with compound interest. That literally was that made my mind shift right then and there, because you're able to see what you're spending and what you could have in the future, So that helped a lot, just being able to see those numbers on paper and know that, okay, do you want, I'm not a really big spender anyways, so it was pretty easy for me because I'm not a huge shopper. So yeah, I'm kind of frugal. I'm kind of frugal. Let me just say I'm kind of frugal at times. So buckling down and just hunkering down and not spending money is quite easy for me.
Yeah.
So
I'll just add is the ego check. Checking the ego. That has a lot to do with the mindset. And as a man, we got this pride thing. We tend to have this ego thing that, I'm the man and blah blah blah. Man, you got to check that at the door because it's very humbling. You get to a place and that ego will drive you in the dirt. You understand me? And just to give you context, what Brittany was saying about the numbers. So I plugged that 235,000 into an investing calculator. I'm 30, I just turned 38. So at 36, I think I used it at 36 years old for 30 years, 235,000 investing calculator, and don't put another dime in it. And I think we use 8% rate of return at $2.2 million. Not putting another dime in, $230,000 grow like that compound interest. It's like when you put stuff in perspective, like I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that years ago. I couldn't put that in my head for whatever reason. Like, man, you spending this money and you're robbing your future. That $500 you spending on that car payment is costing you millions. And God Almighty, man, like just when you get that breakthrough in your mind, it's like it is game changer.
There's no stopping you.
Game changer. Now you look at things totally different.
Yes.
Not saying it is all about money, but man, money can help change a lot of situations. It really can.
That is definitely great. And you guys are 100% right. Once you start this process and you truly allow God to take control of your mind, the scripture that comes to mind for me is that scripture in Romans talking about the renewing of your mind in the daily process. And oftentimes people only think about it in the spiritual aspect, but it goes in every aspect of your life. And I'm glad you mentioned that. So being that said, how did I say that? The question I want to ask is let me ask this first. So the question I want to ask first: are you guys against credit cards? I know Brittany mentioned earlier that it's much easier to spend credit cards. But do you guys advise people to spend credit cards, or what's your guys' point of view? Let me ask that before I go to the next question.
Yeah. So we realize that credit cards is not good for us, particularly me. It's not good. It's you got to you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself, and that comes with peeling back the layers. So the short answer is no, we don't use credit cards. Would we advise anybody else to use credit cards? Probably not, because you got a debit card. Save the money, pay cash for it. But there's a lot of people that use credit cards. More power to you. If you're disciplined enough to like use that credit card, pay it off every month to try to avoid the interest. But the credit card game is, they know you better than you know you.
Oh yeah.
They know your spending habits better than you do, which is why they're a $1 trillion business industry, because they know the consumer. They can't just spend a little bit a month and pay it off. And most people don't. They swipe their card and they carry over for the rest of the year. Now you're paying interest, and now you're paying money to somebody that didn't earn it. And now you're taking money out of your family's pocket. And so, no, we don't use credit cards.
That's good. That's good. And I wanted to ask this: how did you guys get started in terms of investing? You guys both mentioned that you being in debt was robbing you guys from your future. So I can imagine now you guys able to see the numbers on paper, and you see $235,000 on 8% annual, then can turn to $2 million in 30 years.
Yeah.
How did you guys get started on that journey?
Yeah. Once we became debt free, that's when we started back investing, because we stopped all our investing. And honestly, we wasn't investing aggressively at the time, before the journey. We were investing a little bit, but it wasn't anything. We didn't have any Roth IRAs. We weren't maxing out anything.
Right.
So that whole shift had to come, and it came with financial literacy and teaching ourselves, educating ourselves. So we have Roth IRAs, which is just like a cookie jar. Inside of the Roth IRAs, we have some investment index funds. Is what we use, just to encapsulate the total stock market index funds. So we invest in that. I have a 401k or a TSP, thrift savings plan. I have that with the Navy. We both have Roth IRAs, brokerage accounts. We opened up 529s for our daughters for college. So we're investing for their college and their future now. So it's a whole shift. And we pretty much are teaching ourselves how to invest, and the things that we need to know going forward, because we want to be able to move the needle. We want to be able to pay it forward and educate others just based off the process that we went through. We're not any financial gurus, but man, I tell you, when you start to learn things, you build more confidence, because really investing is not hard. It's not difficult at all. It's really just press and play and going. Most people don't invest. They put it in a savings account, which is, don't make much interest at all. Your money really like losing. It's like having money under the mattress.
Right.
And just based off of inflation, it's really deteriorating the dollar. Well, if you put it in the stock market and real estate, things that build wealth, assets, we don't have any real estate yet, but that's the next move. Putting in things that allow your money to grow. And that comes with financial literacy. It's come with taking that chance on yourself, betting on yourself. Like, what am I weak in? How can I be better? You want to be a multimillionaire? Well, you got to do what multimillionaires do. And it's not spending a bunch of money on stuff that's going down in value. Being in a bunch of debt, that's not how you build wealth. It's not the fastest way to build wealth. Let me say that. And so, yeah, that's where we are now.
That's really dope. That's really dope. So what do you guys, what did you guys use, or what was you guys' resource in terms of learning? You mentioned financial literacy did a lot for you guys and helped change you guys' mindset. So what were some resources you guys turned to during this process?
We read investing books. I know Tony, he had some books that he already had, and he always will show me like, oh, read this book, or or this is the book that I'm reading. So books, YouTube University.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Google. I mean, the resources are out there. And like I mentioned before, we found a community on social media that we follow different investors. And so we look at some of the things that they post and some of the things that they say, and we'll research it ourselves, and so just continuing to research. certain things has helped us out a lot
Yeah.
because we knew that it's not about just becoming debt free. Once you become debt free, now you have to figure out, okay, how do I grow? What do I do with all this money? How do I grow this money? How do I set myself up for the future? How do I set my kids up for the future? So, yeah.
Yes, also I add just budget is a key resource. That's the cornerstone of getting out of debt and building wealth. Starting a budget, knowing where your money is and where it's going, where it needs to go, how much input and how much output, right? The basics, blocking and tackling, just the basics, right? Doing a budget. You don't know where your money's going, it'll grow legs and leave your account every time. And so the first thing that we did that really started our financial literacy was Financial Peace University.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we started that, and that helped us big time on our debt-free journey. That helped align our thoughts, our mindset. And after that, just a few books that Brittany mentioned. The Intelligent Investor is a great book. I'm still reading that right now. I reference that one all the time. What's the name of the other one? The Wealth Choice by Dr. Kimbrough. I forget his name, but he's a professor at Clark Atlanta. But he's got a book called The Wealth Choice. Simple Path to Wealth is another good book by J.L. Collins. And then Total Money Makeup by Dave Ramsey is a great book too. So those are some resources that we use and that we still reference when it comes to financial literacy. Mm-hmm. Brittany, I mentioned YouTube. We're on there every day. learning something.
That's good. I guess so. I guess my next question is because oftentimes people like to downplay YouTube. So how did you guys sort through all the different junks that you can even find on YouTube, even on this financial journey, so you guys are not just going through a rabbit hole?
Yeah, I think part of that was just being able to relate with the people that were watching on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like everybody is not for you, so really trying to seek out, like we would put in topics. Let's just say, for example, paying out, if you put in a search, paying off debt or how to pay off debt, right? Then you get certain people that come up and talk about their journey. People love to watch journeys. It's like one of the biggest things that can help inspire you, watching somebody's journey. And so we started documenting our journey on Instagram. After we paid off like 100,000, we was like, okay, we can breathe a little bit. We still got quite a bit to go, but let's start showing people our journey, because money is this topic where people feel guarded. I can't let people know that I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, when most people are struggling. So let's show people that, hey, we're on this journey that a lot of people could be on or want to go on or have the courage to go on. We want to be that source of inspiration. And so we started documenting our journey. We started putting stuff out there, some things that we fell flat on our face about, just being transparent, stuff that we didn't get right, stuff that we were getting right. And so we were able to, we're building a community right now via Instagram, and we have a YouTube. And so we just started looking for other people that look like us. It's like, okay, do they have children? Don't necessarily have to have children, but we try to like find people that way. And it's like, okay, this is cool, inspiring. Can we relate to them? So you take what you feel like is feeding you, and if it's junk for you, you throw it out. So you have to be able to filter through the things that work for you and the things that's feeding you. So we've watched a lot of YouTube.
That's good. And how did you guys go about setting your budget?
Yeah.
We use a budgeting app for our budget, and that's just the easiest for us because we connected all of our we connected all of our debit cards to the budgeting app. So anything that we spend, it comes right to the app. And then we were also able to list our debt in the budgeting app. So it allowed us to see like how much debt we had. And so we were able to list everything in categories and groups, and we both have the app. So we are both able to look and see what we're spending. So we're on the same page in terms of what we're spending. Yeah. There is no secret to even if we buy a cup of coffee, we can see on our budgeting app, okay, $1.56 was spent here or whatever. And so we made it a point, even when Tony was on deployment, we made it a point to have dream meetings. And in our dream meetings, we talked about our goals for the month. And when he was on deployment, we were not able to do this every month, but we still were able to, I don't know. I think
we did it monthly.
We did it monthly.
Via email.
I was going to say, via email. We did it monthly because we made sure we went over that budget for the next month. And so that really helped us out a lot because we were able to look at what was coming in and what was going out together. And we were able to dream together during that time. We were able to experience those wins together when we were able to pay off a chunk of debt. So that helped us out a lot.
And Dami, I'll add on to what Brittany was saying. This just give you some tangible examples. The budget itself, we have categories in the budget, right? So you got your basic housing, your basic expenses, food, clothing, shelter, got all that stuff, right? And then we have some categories where we would give ourselves an allotment, spending money, blow money. So like whatever the budget was for the money, if it was $100 for myself, $100 for Brittany, or $200, hey, you get to spend that money on whatever you want to spend it on. So you give yourself permission to spend. I'm a cigar and coffee guy, so I would go buy me some cigars sometime. And and I didn't have to like record that in the budget or anything. It gives you freedom, really. The budget gives you money and assignment, and it gives you freedom to spend within the budget.
Don't forget that. Yes.
Now, we didn't get it right every time. And honestly, we still don't get it right. Our budget, it can fluctuate. Sometimes we go over, and sometimes unexpected expense comes in, and now we have to meet again and reshuffle. Like, all right, let's have to sit down. This is what came in. We need to account for this. And so that budget is very key to your success moving forward. Whether you're getting out of debt or whether you want to build wealth.
That's great. And I want to ask this, if like it's a common theme in you guys' journey, how important was it to enjoy the process? Whether it was through the, paying off the debt, and even now when you guys are debt free, how important was enjoying the process?
Yeah. Brittany already mentioned it, the dream meetings. That allowed us to develop momentum and think about what could we be doing. And even like in the process, yes, you do want to allow time for you to do things that's fun.
Yeah.
And what we learned is we just saved up for it. If we knew we wanted to go somewhere, we would put money to the side. And that's the delayed gratification piece.
Yep.
Now we weren't doing a whole lot during our debt-free journey because the goal was focus. This is the priority. All fun stuff, the stuff that we want to do, we're gonna have to wait till later. But we did allot ourselves times where we, want to go out sometime or take the kids somewhere. We would allot money. It might take us a couple weeks to save some or a couple months. All right, we want to go here. All right, let's start putting some cash to the side. That way, that's the money for that. That's the envelope for that, whatever you want to call it. And that's the money that we would spend. And now the process is we have margin. We've created margin for ourselves. And so we don't necessarily have to say, okay, well, we need to save for this. Well, we still do, but we have more flexibility in the budget now. And we can go wherever we want to go. We can do a staycation for the month. We can throw that in and be like, okay, we will go get us a hotel room and hang out with the kids, get away from the house for a day or two. We can do that now because we created that margin because we got out of debt. And we don't owe nobody else. Now we can really enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Good, that's good. That's good. And where do you guys see yourself in the next 5 years as a family? Where do you guys see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a really good question. Definitely continuing to invest, continuing to learn, hopefully growing our platform and inspiring and motivating others to um, become debt free and build wealth as well. Um, and I would definitely say educating our children, making sure as they grow over the next 5 years that they are understanding finances on their level, so that's definitely one of our goals for the next 5 years. In 5 years, I want us to be even more savvy when it comes to financial literacy, being able to help people, being able to teach our kids more. So
Yeah. Also, I'll add, speaking, we want to, like we're doing now, we want to be able to bless other people and share our journey.
yeah,
Continue to spread the word, create the awareness on financial literacy. And also, one thing that we do talk about is we're a Black young couple. We want people to see that you can be Black, you can be a young couple,
you have kids,
you can have kids, you can love God, you can have swag, you can be yourself,
you can love each other,
you can really love it, you can have a great marriage. We want to put that out. We want to show people that it is possible. It is possible. And you're not going to get it right 100% of the time.
mm-hmm.
But man, I tell you, when you got two people on the same page, it is, and you got God in the mix, God is the head, it is impossible to fail.
Yeah.
It is impossible to fail. So we want to create that awareness. Next 5 years, for the rest of our lives, we want to be able to do that and show people, man, you can have a marriage of bliss. Your marriage can really be a breeze if God is in it. And you can be rich, and you can look good, and you can smell good, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can have kids, you can really pour into your kids. Like, we want to be able to be that example. I promise. And this is something we talk about regularly. And yeah, man. And 5 years from now, so we are on our financial independence journey. The goal is 10 years, retire. I will retire from the Navy. But we want to be financially independent where we don't have to work ever again if we decide not to. It's going to be work optional. Financial independence, we can work from anywhere in the world. We don't have to be tied down anywhere. We can do what we want to do at that point. So that's our 10-year goal.
So in 5 years, hopefully we're halfway there.
We're halfway there.
All right. That's good. That's definitely good. I definitely thank you guys for coming on this podcast and sharing your story. I definitely learned from you guys and definitely enjoyed this podcast. Could you guys leave us with a word of wisdom and where people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start, Instagram, we have a page together. It's at Ingram Muscle. It's one word, Ingram Muscle. YouTube channel, Ingram Muscle as well. We have a Twitter, Ingram_Muscle. We also have a website, ingrammuscle.com. Facebook is Ingram Muscle as well. And also on our website, we have a book that we wrote together in 2018. It's called Equally Yoked. It's about how health and fitness enriched our journey, our marriage, how they brought us together. And that's a whole nother journey. But but yeah, we have that as well. And just words of encouragement. Start where you are, no matter what your age is. Start where you are. Forgive yourself for whatever mistakes you made. And it's never too late to start. You start now, you move forward, dream big. Get out of your own way. It's not the fact that people are in our way. It's not that we have a lot of haters, because we don't. Our biggest hater is ourselves, what we see. And we get in ourselves, we get in our way, we get in our head. Because the other people that's talking down on you, that don't matter. It's what you tell yourself. So be able to hype yourself up, motivate yourself, relinquish any negative thoughts that you've ever had about yourself. That, oh, you'll forever be broke. Oh, nobody will ever want me. oh, I'll never be able to build wealth. Those are lies and tricks from the enemy, because you are great. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God made us to be great. He didn't make us to be mediocre. And those are the words of encouragement I like to lead a Wealth in Christ family.
Yes.
And I love that shirt. I
Yes.
need to be able to get one of them.
Yes.
You tell me where I can get one. I want to support.
I'll definitely tell you after. Yes, so I got sidetracked. Yeah, so thank you again. It's definitely a pleasure to have both of you guys, Tony and Brittany Ingram. And like always, for those who are listening, I hope you guys do take action. Start from where you are. Trust God in this process and trust His process. And stay tuned for the next week episode. And if you haven't yet gotten my free study guide, which is on our website, wealthinchristbrand.com, you can get it there, which will show you how you can get started in the stock market completely for free without compromising your faith. And see you guys next week.